start. We're gonna ask any question that you feel like, okay.
The important question. I want to know how you and Guadalupe met.
Actually, this is not a short answer question, but she was in a group. Actually, first time she saw me, she went to a show and I was dancing in that show. And that's one of the things that made her be interested in tango. That was like 18 years ago, maybe. And then that was Tanguera, 2001, 16 years ago. And then I was directing and choreographing a group in 2004, and she was part of the group. So I remember her briefly. Then years later, we were like 4 years ago at the Milonga. We just had broke up with our girlfriend and boyfriend, so we were in the same situation. At the Milonga, I met her. I said, "Oh, hi." And then I asked her friend, "Oh, who's your friend?" "Oh, no, she's Guadalupe." And then I realized that's the girl that I direct 10 years before. And then I asked her to dance, and then I asked her. Actually, this is a funny thing. That week was Semana de la Dulzura. That's like a sweetie week in Argentina. And the tradition is you trade a sweet for a kiss. And then I bought a box. Alfajor. And that's how everything started.
Beautiful. Who else wants to ask? You can ask, something really
Who's the boss?
Always. Yes. Yes.
The question is, it has to do with leading and following. What happens? How do you correct the situation when you're a shorter woman dancing with a very tall man who's insisting on a close embrace, and your nose is in his armpit or in his stomach, and you carefully push away to have it
Kiss his belly button.
That was a short answer.
So my question basically is, how does the leader understand when somebody pulls away for an open embrace and he prefers a closed? But shouldn't it be the woman's choice?
Yeah, the one that proposed the embrace is the man, but we had to be sensitive for if that embrace that I'm proposing is comfortable for her. There is a body language that she can make obvious that she's uncomfortable with that embrace. So, for example, instead of embracing him like this, she's embracing him like this in the arm. So this tells like, give me a little bit more space. So if you feel that her hand is here and pressing you a little bit back, maybe she needs a little open embrace. So
Maybe she needs to breathe.
yeah, and
She's blue.
and she's blue. So give her a little bit of space. No, let's go. Yeah. So, but I think that you can dance with any high people.
I have a lot of experience.
She's
I have a lot of experience.
She's shorter than me, so we should adapt to different followers and leaders. So the leader should be sensitive for this body language.
No, I mean, I've had tons of war.
That's
Yeah.
why he's telling you now.
Yeah.
Leaders, I want the leaders to hear that, okay?
Sure,
When a woman
yeah.
tugs of war.
I want to know your weirdest experience in tango.
Oh my God.
You have to pick one.
And I don't want to be involved in that one.
In the barbecue, and all of a sudden it started raining, and you went out and you got all the food in and stripped down.
And all the Argentines that ended up in underwear.
Yeah, that was the weirdest
This is true.
experience in Woodstock. Woodstock, they are all weird, so I fit there very well.
No, we're fun.
Yeah, they're fun.
They're artists.
There are. No, I have a lot of friends, Eileen, and a lot of friends in Woodstock, and we always like have these parties that we finish like playing volleyball in a swimming pool but it was like really fun. Or there was That was the other time that came my friend from Argentina, Mario.
The first time.
That was the river was like freezing, and they went like, there was a guy, I'm not gonna name him because he's known. He went like that, swimming naked on this river. Yeah, but I don't know, dancing tango, there's a lot of things that happens like on stage, and that you have like to try to fix it, and the show must go on. I had to dance once without the heel, because I was dancing, and on that time I didn't use Cervila shoes. So I had the shoes that if you take the heel off, there was a lot of nails like going out like that. So that the old-fashioned like shoes. That was in '94, I remember, in Japan. And so dancing, then I see something on the stage, and it was my heel. And I saw it, and I had all this, and I had the whole variation with ganchos and a lot of things in between her legs, and that I really had to be very,
You have
very
to nail it.
precise.
You have to nail it.
And when I get out, I said, in Spanish, I said, me destaqué.
I can remember once you had me doing a performance in Hunter, and you asked me to go get you some butter. And I couldn't figure out what the butter was for. He was about to go on stage, and it was for his shoes. He took the stick of butter and he
Yes.
started putting it on the shoes. So
If we have patent leather shoes, it sticks. They stick to each other. So we use Vaseline when we are in the stage, so we have like little Vaseline we put. But if we are somewhere that you forgot the Vaseline, you can use butter, you can use hand lotion or whatever.
Yeah. I have two questions for you. One, I mean, you are an accomplished professional dancer. What do you do other than, dancing every day to stay where you are and become maybe better, every day, every month, right? So the things that you do as a professional dancer, that is not dancing itself. Right, but contributing to the excellence and depth of your dancing.
Yes.
And related question, a lot of us here are amateurs. What would you recommend for amateur dancers to do, to improve their dancing, other than dancing more often?
Okay.
Right.
I was not born. Repeat it, but that was a long question. I'll have the question inside the answer. So, what I do besides dancing, like to keep me the level where I am and improving, and I think is, for example, I go a lot to the theaters, even if it's not a tango show. So I like to see different kind of shows and different kinds of dancing. So I go to the ballet. I watch a lot of films. So because I think that more information and more culture you have, it's easier for you when you have to create something. I did a show that was an adaptation of Othello from Shakespeare in the tango world. So Othello was a director of a company. Desdemona was one of the dancers, and like the tragedy happened in that environment. Actually, I translate that to a feature film script that I didn't have the chance to meet a producer interested in that, but it's one of the pendant projects that I have. So I read and I watch a lot. Nowadays it's easy. I was going to say also that, and this goes to the second question, what's my advice for the beginners or for the amateurs? When I was not born in Argentina, so when I went to Argentina, I didn't know a lot of things about tango. I was like completely beginner, amateur, ignorant in many ways. So I had to read, I had to listen, and today you just turn on the computer, you go to YouTube, you see everything. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, you had to go to the library, you had to buy books, you had to rent VHS with Osvaldo Pugliese at the Colón, and then you put oh, look at that. So, and now you just put Osvaldo Pugliese Colon and you can watch the whole thing. So today is a lot more easy. It's easier to research how to think this thing. So I think that you should like listen to different orchestras, see and watch different dancers, and read a lot, because tango is not, is what I say in my classes, tango is not only about steps, it's a culture, so you should like go to the culture too. Mambo, and then I watched a tango show. I went to see a tango show, and then I said, oh, I want to learn this, and then I remember I was a computer analyst. I worked with programming in the early 90s. So I sold a computer that I had, a motorcycle that I had, and I got $3,000, and I said I go to Buenos Aires to learn tango. When this $3,000 finished, I go back to Brazil. So it didn't finish yet, so that's why I'm still there. Okay, yes. The first movie experience that I had was in '97 with Carlos Saura, with the movie Tango. The movie was Academy Award nominated, and that was a great experience to be with very big names in the filmmaking industry. So Storaro as a photographer, and Carlos Saura as a director, and the actors that were there, and being I was actually the choreography assistant of the film. Juan Carlos Copes was the choreographer, and I was his assistant. So I was in charge of rehearsing all the group numbers and being in charge of all the dancers. So that was like a really big experience for me. After that, I decided to study filmmaking. I came to New York to live. I studied filmmaking in New York. And then after that, I did some short films, I did documentaries, and I write a lot. And so one of these things that I have, Jealousy, it's called Jealousy, the adaptation of Taylor to Tango. Is one of the scripts that I have. So if anybody knows a producer in LA or here that are interested in this, you never know. Here, just.
You've been traveling around the world, going to milongas. You've been coming here since 2004 and watching this community grow. And I'm just interested in your observations of how tango, people at this level, social tango, how it is in other parts of the world compared with what you're seeing now to where our community has gotten. We've gotten from maybe 30 people to 200 or 300 people at least, so just curious to see where we kind of rank.
We won't take it personal.
First time that
Not too personal, right?
No, but he's watched us grow.
Sure.
Yes.
First time I went to Woodstock was I think 2004. And so I really saw this community growing, and it's really amazing how big it is. In one point, it's said that a lot of segments of this community they are like fighting to each other. Yeah, so. I think we are like a big family, so brothers and sisters should not fight. And the thing, and one big thing that I thought that Maya and David did, they put all these brothers and sisters together under the same roof. So it's amazing, and should be a lesson for us to start supporting our neighbors and making this community growing more and more and more. So maybe in 10 years it's not 300, it's 3,000.
Thank you.
Junior, what was you found the hardest thing when you started learning tango? What did you say? This is so different from everything else.
Yeah, I was used to Latin music, So I used to move my hips a lot. So physically was this like the main thing that I had to fight against me, like not move too much the hips and be more straight and stiff and it's completely a different culture. And that the second thing is that by being a Brazilian dancing in Argentina was a lot of I had a lot of difficulties to be accepted by the Argentinian community because at the beginning everything is easy because they welcome the foreign people as a
As a
student,
tourist.
as a student to spend dollars.
Yeah.
But then some people they don't accept
Foreigners.
like a Brazilian to be dancing at the same level and in the high quality shows. So that was one thing, but it was not everybody. And of course, I had a lot of people that support me, and they opened doors. Juan Carlos Copes asked me to be his assistant. Maria Neves asked me to be her partner, and so there was a lot of people that opened doors for me and gave me opportunity and thought and believed in me, and I'm very grateful for them.
Just, Junie, could you just tell them who Copas was or is or what he did for tango?
Copes.
Yeah.
Copes, for me, was the man that created our profession. So,
How?
because tango, for me, before Copes, was the milongueros that used to teach. What he did, he took what he saw at the milongas and brought to stage. So he did a lot of musicals numbers. So he's more like Fred Astaire and Gene Kelly. So he did a lot of. He put a social dance on stage. He and Maria, they came to New York in '64. So they were in Broadway for first time. A lot before Forever Tango and Tango Argentino. So in '64, there was if you Google, you can see the playbill. There was a show called New Faces '64 or '62. I think it's '62. New Faces '62 was a show in on Broadway, and they were there with a lot of casts of I don't know, West Side Story and different music. So I think he was the one that started like opening the
door.
profession
The door.
for everybody, the doors.
Weren't you on Ed Sullivan also, the first tango couple on Ed Sullivan?
Sorry?
I think
Yes.
they were the first
Yeah.
tango, so
They
that
were.
was-
They went to Ed Sullivan's show 3 times.
Yeah.
If you go to New York in 50th Street and Fifth Avenue, I think there's the Museum of Television. If you go there, you can enter. You can put Copes, Ed Sullivan, and you can see the show that they were
I'm
in the
gonna-
60s.
I'm gonna let you do the last question. Pick somebody for the last question, and then I'm gonna ask you the very last question.
Okay.
Since you started your career as a touring artist around the world up to now, what is your perception of the popularity of the tango culture around the world? Specifically, has it grown? Has it diminished? What are your impressions?
Okay, the Tango Argentino in '84 was the biggest, the big show that started making tango popular all over the world. So after '84, then the tango couples started like to going to the different countries. But in the '90s and beginning of 2000 was the great like boom all over the world that everybody was interested in tango. So I believe that nowadays, every city, like you go to any city in the world and you Google tango and you have a tango community at least at 30 or 50 miles away. So there's tango all over the world. And the last years, like maybe the last 5 years, for me, it stayed a little bit like maybe it's getting down the curve, But I believe that it's not going to slow down, but it's like for me it's like the in the 70s that the rock and roll and it started like going down but then it came back. So that tango will never die. Tango will never die. Maybe it will slow down and it's just like a push to grow more and more.
Okay, so we thank you for this opportunity. It's really generous of you to share your experiences. I would like to know, and I think everybody else will agree with this, why do you tango?
Well, tango is more than a profession because you can say, oh, it's a business. It's the way you earn your money, but it's more than that. It's a way of life. It's for example, when I work, I teach, I dance tango. When I perform, I dance tango. And when I have to relax, I just take Guadalupe to a milonga and we dance tango. So that's the way that we live. So tango is more than a business and a way of and a profession. It's a passion. So and I believe that tango is a passion that everybody here has. So that's why we are so into tango and go to different festivals and go to different milongas. And I believe that is an addiction. It's a good addiction. It's a good one. And we are all infected by this virus of tango. Luckily.
Thank you. Thank you.
Some great dancing. Go to Tango on the Hudson to get articles and information on what's going on in the tango community in the Hudson Valley. The tango community, there's a feeling of community and inclusion in the Hudson Valley tango population. There's always room for new members to come onto the tango dance floor. So what are you waiting for? Call Danjo Dance Studio today, 475-6006, and we'll see you on the dance floor.